What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I am bringing you my undefeated 5-0 Locals Mathmech deck profile. You guys saw in the vlog the other day that I did go undefeated with this deck, having never played it before, so I just built this deck, went in blind, and we went undefeated, beating some really good players, probably some of the best that our Locals has to offer. So yeah, let's go ahead and show you guys the profile. To start off the list, we are playing the standard ratio of Mathmech, so that's going to be 3 copies of Mathmech Circular. This is by far the best card in the deck, no questions asked. This is your starter. Pretty much the entire purpose and every card in this deck is to get you into your Circular. We have 3 copies of Diameter. This is going to be the second best one, obviously. Not only is it a Reborn, but it gives whatever you XYZ summon into a Omni Negate, which is very, very strong. Very, very ridiculous. We have 2 copies of Sigma. This is the better extender because you can summon it from your hand or grave, which is why Circular is so super important. You're able to send your Sigma off the Circular, and that is full combo. We're also playing 2 copies of Addition as well as 2 copies of Subtraction. These are just the numbers that you play. That way, no matter what you do, you should have an extender in your hand. And that's going to be it for the Mathmechs. On to the rest of it. We are playing 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. Now, this card I'm a little bit iffy on because I'm not actually doing the IP version. Which is really where the Parallel Exceed shines, is if you're able to summon it and go into an IP to end your board on top of the Heat Soul. So maybe I'll change this, maybe I'll cut this, but it works really, really well if you will go second, because it helps you climb into an access code really easily, and you guys know me, I always lose dice rolls, so I wanted to be able to go into the access code win condition very, very simply, so that is why I ended up playing 3, but if you're going first, it really isn't all that good. At least not in this build without the IP. Then we're playing 1 copy of Archfiend Eccentric. This, honestly, is 110% the reason that I decided to even try this deck. This is easily one of my top 3 favorite cards of all time, so a way I can have an excuse to play it, I'm definitely going to do so. It is a small world target. It's a really, really good small world target because you don't need your normal summon in the deck, so you're able to normal summon it and out problematic monsters. But not just that, you're able to activate it as a pendulum scale and out problematic floodgates or spells and traps as well. So really, really niche, but really, really powerful. And then we also have a copy of Santa Claus. This is a really, really good small world target as well. And honestly, I think this beats any kaiju in the game, hands down. And I'll tell you guys why. So there's 3 main reasons. One, obviously, is just that you can summon it by tributing a monster your opponent controls. Yeah, same as kaiju's, whatever. The really cool thing, though, is because it's a level 6, it only requires 1 tribute to normal summon it. And since we don't need our normal summon in this deck, this makes it a really good out to something like Ibly. If our opponent Ibly locks us, we can small world into the Santa Claus, tribute away the Ibly for the Santa Claus, special summon Circular with Circular Effect, and then just go all the way through our combo. But the most important, and the reason I think it beats out any kaiju, is against Sprite specifically. It is only 1200 attack, meaning that you are able to out the Testudo using it, and I think that's really strong, so definitely play this, guys. Honestly, I think you should play this over any kaiju in any deck. Santa Claus, really, really strong. But that's it for the regular monsters. Now we're just playing a bunch of hand traps. We have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This is format specific, but I think in this format it is very, very strong, especially against something like Kashtira. 3 copies of Effect Veiler, just basic generic effect negation, really, really good. 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Not only is this an FTK against something like Branded, but it's just the most generic hand trap, so you'll always be able to use it, and it will always hinder your opponent in one way or another. Maybe not necessarily end the turn like it does against Branded, but it's still really, really good, especially when you back it up with other things as well. And then we are actually playing 2 copies of Nibiru. So Nibiru is really cool in this deck because it also is a small world target, being a light monster, but not just that. A lot of players are not maining Nibiru anymore because of Kashtira going the Arise Heart Pass route, so that makes this really strong against Kashtira, ironically, because a lot of players are realizing that since nobody's maining Nibiru, game 1, they're pretty much free to do the full combo that they want to do because they're not going to get punished. So this is here to punish that, but it's also really strong against other decks in the meta as well. So yeah, I definitely think that Nibiru is here to stay. That is the monsters. Onto the spells. We have 1 copy of Mathmech Equation. It's searchable, it's a reborn, gives you more damage. Don't really need to explain it too much. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I really like this to end your turn with after you've searched your 1 copy of Super Factorial, after you've drawn off your Heat Soul. You're able to just draw more cards, and since we are playing such a large hand trap lineup, we can draw into additional hand traps, which will be a very big nuisance for our opponent. Then the last spells that we have are pretty much the same. We've got 3 copies of Signet Mining as well as 3 copies of Small World. This is essentially like playing 6 Rotas in our deck. Yes, each one will cost an additional card from our hand, and in the case of Small World, it will also cost an additional card from our deck, but doesn't really matter. The name of the game is getting into Circular, so 6 ways to get into Circular, plus the 3 Circular itself. If you could play 9 copies of your best extender, you absolutely would, so that's it for that. We have our 1 copy of Superfactorial. This is a Tri-Brigade Revolt, essentially. You search it, you summon out 3, you immediately, or up to 3, you immediately XYZ. And it's really cool because you can go into Lablation, which we'll go over in the extra deck. But not just that, what you're going to do is you're going to reborn that Diameter during your opponent's turn. And then because it immediately XYZ summons, you're going to be able to use the Diameter as an Omni Negate, giving that effect to whatever XYZ you make. And finally, we have 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. That's going to be the main deck. It's actually 41 cards, but everything in here feels really necessary. So let's go ahead and show you guys the extra. The extra deck for this is really simple, really straightforward, and there is one change that I actually want to make, but this is card for card the exact list that I went undefeated with the other day, so I want to show you guys that, and when we get to the point where I would make the change, I'll go over it with you guys. So starting things off, we've got 2 copies of Prime Mathmech Alimbertian, as well as 1 copy of Prime Mech Lablation. Alimbertian is your starter, essentially. You'll be able to search whatever Mathmech card you need on turn 1, so even if they negate the circular effect to search the Superfactorial, you'll be able to search Superfactorial, and it's just really, really good. The Lablation is what you're going to be going into off of the Superfactorial. For those of you that don't know, it is a pseudo-Trishula kind of effect. You detach up to 3 and then apply as many effects as you want. Essentially, you can send 1 monster from field to grave, you can send 1 spell or trap from field to grave, and then you can also send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the grave. So you're outing 3 resources, which is very, very strong. And to pair that up with the Omni Negate that it's going to get if you summon it with the Diameter, which 9 times out of 10 you're going to, it's just a lot for your opponent to have to deal with. We are playing 1 copy of Lingaribo and 1 copy of Almirage. These are just really good generic Cyberse that we can turn pretty much anything in our deck into, and it pairs really well when we need things that have like different attributes or different names, or even if we open up something like a Parallel Exceed, just being able to turn one of our Mathmechs into either one of these to go into the Parallel Exceed, it's really, really strong. We have the 1 copy of Cyberse Wicked. This card is incredible. It searches your Diameter for the follow-up as well as just being something that can't be destroyed, so there were times where I sat on this and it won me a game. But more importantly, it just searches that Diameter. We are on the Pit Knight early. Now, this is my play for if I go first and open the Parallel Exceed. The Parallel Exceeds can turn into a Pit Knight early, and then the Pit Knight early acts as another effect negation. Since we're not playing the IP Mask Arena, this is probably the next best thing if you still want to play those Parallel Exceeds. And I think the Parallel Exceeds are incredibly strong. Again, that way you can climb into access code very easily, but going turn 1, this is probably what you're going to make off of it. Now here's where the change is going to be. We played 2 copies of Splash Mage for the tournament, but I actually only want to play 1. The card that I want to replace it with, I actually picked up after the tournament. It's the G Golem Crystal Heart, and the reason for that is it helps you make an additional access code if your first one gets outed. You can go ahead and link into that, use its effect to reborn the Transcode Talker, link the Transcode Talker and that into another access code, and yeah, it's really, really strong. Or you can even use the Transcode Talker to reborn like your Update Jammer and make a access code that can then attack twice. So yeah, I think that that's really strong. Definitely replace one of these Splash Mages with that, but again, this is what I played for the tournament. Then we have 2 copies of Update Jammer. The reason you're playing 2 of this is because of Kashtira. You want to make sure that they're not able to rip out 1, because if you're only playing 1 and they rip it out, then you're not going to be able to do the access code OTK, and I think that's really, really strong. Then we have our 1 copy of Decode Talker Heat Soul. This is the best end board that the deck has because you get to draw 2. Any card that says draw 2 in a deck that plays 12 hand traps, then I mean, obviously you're going to want to play it. So the end goal of turn 1 is to make the Decode, use its effect, draw a card on your turn, use its effect on your opponent's draw phase, draw another card. Hopefully you've got a bunch of hand traps, and then even if they can get rid of this, you have the Superfactorial for the backup, and that's usually going to seal the game. That's what won me 90% of my games. We have the Transcode Talker. This is for a very easy access code. You can make the Update Jammer into Transcode, Transcode reborn the Update Jammer Transcode into access code, and that's just going to be game. And shout out to Anthony. He let me borrow the second access code talker here. But yeah, same logic as the Update Jammer. You want to play 2, that way Kashtira can't rip your only one out, because if they rip your only one out, then you're not going to be able to OTK, so that's going to be the extra deck. And there you guys have it. That is going to be my undefeated 5-0 Mathmech deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with friends. Maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. I have posted the side deck for this on my Patreon. That is a perk that I offer to my Patreons at the lowest tier. The side decks for every deck that I show you guys here on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.